Hello, this is Perry Mank, and it is Wednesday, October 14th, 2020, at about 5:20 in the evening. This is For the People video, and this is where I give updates and current developments as to how the government here is terrorizing me. And I'm in Martinez, California, in Contra Costa County, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And this has been going on for a long time. Those of you who have been keeping up with the developments, I had worked on part articles 1 through 7 that proved with evidence that Catholics and their recruits have overthrown our legal system, our government representative offices, and government departments here in California. It does affect politics at higher levels. So I changed the format of For the People video, and I will be starting with the homework assignment exercise. And that is the case that we're working on is the Barry Bonds case and his personal trainer, Greg Anderson. And there's a lot of information on this case that expands and extends to other people that it's very controversial, and also other countries, people that are from other countries, but they're here in the United States. There were a couple of questions that I had when I spoke yesterday in the homework assignment exercise, and because that case was handled out of San Francisco, but this BALCO, Bay Area, it's a cooperative. I can't remember what the L stands for right now. Was out of Burlingame, which is near San Mateo. I'm not sure if it's in San Mateo County. I think it is. And then the federal agents, the federal department is out of San Francisco, from what I understand, because in California we have different federal offices, FBI offices, that are in different communities. We do have one here in Concord, California, but the main office is in San Francisco. All right, so what I found out, because when I remember hearing about this Barry Bonds case, when it was going on, was that it kept on going on, and it just sounded like a public flogging. That was my recollection. As I've been researching in the last 2 days, I discovered initially about his personal trainer, Greg Anderson, and today I learned something very, very different. So supposedly the original complaint, the original, if you will, tip off, came from a man named Trevor Graham. And he's an athlete. He's a sprinter, track athlete, and a coach. And it turns out that when I read the information, again, it didn't make sense. And as I begin to explain, you will see the unfolding of what I've been proving all this time. So what happened was the federal government, the U.S. federal government ended up turning on him. And to make a long story short, they did convict him on 3 counts of perjury, but they sentenced him only to 1 of the counts of perjury. I may be saying that incorrectly a little bit. He was charged on 3 counts of perjury, and he was sentenced on 1. And he received, his sentencing was 1 year house arrest. But he was banned for life by the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency and the U.S. Olympic Committee. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly because I didn't really understand who actually banned him. But he is banned for life. Now, it turns out that from what it sounded like from reading about this man, Trevor Graham, was that there was another man named Guillermo Heredia, and he's a Mexican shot put athlete. And he was somehow connected with BALCO, but he claimed that he worked for Graham, this Trevor Graham, this sprinter athlete, from 1996 to 2000. But this Trevor Graham said something, in contrast to that. Well, wouldn't the FBI know? Wouldn't they make a statement about that? I mean, that seems pretty significant. The FBI would know if this Mexican shot put athlete, Guillermo Heredia, was working with Trevor Graham working for him from 1996 to 2000. Well, what shocked me after that was that this Heredia athlete was then buddied by the federal government to be a witness instead of being indicted and convicted. And then I was shocked even more to find out that this Guillermo Heredia had already been using illegal performance enhancement drugs before BALCO, and that he was interested in following in his father's footsteps about chemistry, and he earned a science degree to create undetected performance enhancing drugs. And this sounds very much like Patrick Arnold, who was actually doing the same thing and was sought out by the founder of BALCO, Vincent Conti, the Italian Catholic. But the federal government sided with this Heredia, and he was never banned from any sports. As a matter of fact, he went on to be a trainer and had success. That's disturbing, very disturbing. So back to this Patrick Arnold, because if you think about it, these 3, Vincent Conti, Patrick Arnold, Heredia, were very actively participating in actually creating a substance that was deceptive. So in yesterday's video, I talked about Patrick Arnold. I spoke a little bit about that he's from the East Coast and he's a chemist. And then I brought up about something about East Germany, and it sounded like Nazi drugs, experimentation. So today I looked up information about that. And mind you, Patrick Arnold was sentenced to only, 4 months. But he was in another article, and again, I would normally cite the articles because of the terrorists in the government. It's dangerous for me to post the articles because they could be removed, or some innocent person, like a journalist, could be harmed. So I'm not citing the actual article. This For the People video is for officials and students and people who are wanting to protect themselves to do the homework, to actively participate in the exercise so that you can become wiser. So the article referred to Patrick Arnold as a rogue chemist. And rogue means, and I have my dictionary here, and it means dishonest, scoundrel, and playfully mischievous person. Playfully. And he, the quote is a rogue chemist who testified that he cooked up his creations after researching the East German documents. What are the East German documents? All right, well, it just gets really disturbing because in East Germany, when they were, as you may remember, there was a time when Germany was split, East Germany and West Germany, and there was the Berlin Wall. And East Germany, people were basically trapped there, and people had escaped, for their lives, and just escaped because it was just horrible. East Germany was a communist country, and it was based on the Soviet Union, the Stalin communism. Well, East Germany wanted to be the supreme Olympic, and so they came up with these experimental type drugs to use on athletes to make them into superheroes, if you will. That's just my own term. I just, briefly looked up about East Germany and found this article about the Olympics. And what they were doing was the young teenage females were given huge amounts of steroids, and that made them into like these super Olympic heroes. And the men were made into female athletes to represent a female Olympic star. And so they were like, their gender changed, but really it was a man, and then they were a woman, but a female representing the country as a female, but really they were a man. But they were on drugs, and it was to deceive. And so this is what Patrick Arnold was practicing, and this is where Victor Conti was collaborating with to develop these drug methods and performance enhancing drugs to target athletes here in the San Francisco Bay Area and beyond, which is scary because if you think about it, some of these people probably didn't even know that they were being drugged. You would think, why would the federal government support these people? Why did this Angel Heredia get off? Okay, is he Catholic? That was a big question for me. He is Mexican, and Mexico's Catholic, very influenced by Catholics. All right, so the other question that I brought up in the video yesterday was, I said something about the attorney for Greg Anderson was in communication with the San Francisco DA. And, well, if they were in federal court, they wouldn't, through the federal procedural laws, they wouldn't be communicating with the DA of San Francisco. However, it made me look up who was the DA of San Francisco around that time, because before they actually indicted the first indictment, the DA was Terrence Hallinan, and I didn't know who this person is. He was the district attorney for San Francisco from 1996 to 2003. He is from an Irish Catholic family, and he was very violent. He was a very violent man, and a young man as well. And his father, Vincent Hallinan, graduated from St. Ignatius College, which is a private Jesuit university, but he claimed to be an atheist. And as soon as I learned that, I thought about what I had written in one of my part articles, which proves with evidence that our legal system has been overthrown by Catholics. And this part article was the part 4 article that I keep referring to during this For the People video in these homework assignment exercises. That one, the homework assignment is actually from the August 28th, 2020 For the People video. And it is, once you are able to identify cruel Catholic M.O., you would be able to recognize white men who have been terrorized, tortured, and destroyed. Prominent white men. And you can apply this to black men, and you would be able to recognize this in your own community. It could be your friend of you, a coworker. It could be somebody that you knew that owned a business. So this part 4 article is called Legal System Practices Catholic Dangerous Psychology is Demonic, and warps words as humanist psychology. And what triggered is because this Terrence Hallinan, the San Francisco district attorney, his father, who's Catholic, Irish Catholic, claimed to be an atheist. Okay, well, that's at this stage, when you hear that a Catholic is now calling themselves an atheist, it's because of some very horrific, very vicious, diabolical, violent attacks on a student of a Catholic school by a priest or nun or some teacher or maybe even a bishop who may have attacked that person, and then they then identify themselves as disliking Catholicism, but really it's just an extension of Catholicism, but they call it atheist. It's like saying that Hitler was raised Catholic, he's Catholic, but he's a Nazi, which stems from the Catholic Church. So from the Catholic Church comes Nazism, Marxism, communism, and then now you could say atheism, fascism. All right. So I wanted to read this because when, as I said again, when I read that the San Francisco District Attorney Terrence Hallinan's father, Vincent Hallinan claimed to be atheist even though he's Catholic, Irish Catholic. It reminded me of this woman that I cited in this Part 4 article, where she's speaking about this feminist named Simone de Beauvoir, a French woman, who was raised as a devout Catholic, and then she became an atheist and then started using the word feminism. Feminist. What is a feminist? So this is an excerpt from my Part 4 article. Then in the YouTube video, Alice von Hildebrand, Man and Woman, A Divine Invention, hosted by Eric Metaxas of let's see if I can pronounce this correctly. It's the Greek Socrates in the city. I apologize for not pronouncing that correctly. And then I wrote, click here for 2014 video. Alice, who is Catholic, age 91 in 2014, and although she states, truth is Catholic, responds to Eric's question, if this is true regarding feminist Simone de Beauvoir, much of feminism is a project to turn women into men rather than to appreciate femininity as it is. Eric talks about that Alice says that Simone has a very negative view of women, and in another part of the video, Alice says, if you want to send a mission of women, it is to defend women and life. So this just really brings it back home as to what is happening here in this community. This is communism. It is illegal. I proved it with evidence that it comes from the Catholics. The Catholics teach to hate females. They hate heterosexual females. It's female heterophobia. The women at the courthouse, Marianne O'Malley, Judith Sanders, Nancy Stark, Claire Mayer, Diana Becton, they were all participating in this communist hate attack, terrorism attack. It is illegal. In addition, what Encina Veterinary Clinic Incorporated et al. Was doing, it falls under communism. It is illegal. It is heinous. It is violent. So that's what I have discovered today. It's disturbing that the federal government is protecting the people that should be indicted and convicted and sentenced to the maximum amount. You do not praise the men who are the communists concocting and creating these illegal substances and then letting them off with a slap on the back of the hand or walking free and then becoming successful and then claiming nothing of the communist regime has taken place. That is illegal. That needs to stop. Excuse me. So what this boils down to is that there was some type of terrorist attack on certain people in the community here, and this case is proving it as well. The case with Encina Veterinary Clinic is proving it as well. What happened to the owner of Doc's Pharmacy, again, was another attack on somebody based on the communist supremacist terrorist regime from the Catholics wanting to shut that man down in his business, and by using very diabolical bio-terrorism. All right, so that's what I have learned today. I do not know. The question that came up to my mind today was who was in charge of the FBI in San Francisco during the investigation that was part of this. Because that person is probably a communist and possibly a Catholic. Now, another group that was involved in this is called the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. I don't know if this is government funded. I didn't look that up. It's out of Colorado. It didn't appear to look like a government agency, but I'm not sure. So that's something that I can look into. There was a statement made by somebody, the executive officer there, and he would actually be controlled by the FBI. So it's confusing to wonder why, or maybe I just haven't found it, who the lead was for this FBI investigation. All right, so as far as the update, the current developments, I still do not have gas for hot water or the stovetop. I did not receive a response back about this replacement iPhone, so I don't know what to do with that. I wondered why Amazon went along with this illegal activity of refunding without my consent. And so they're trying to deny me the right to certain purchases, which was saw palmetto honey, and I'm still waiting for a purchase of it's called corn silk, like it's herbs, but it's for corn silk tea, and they are sabotaging that order as well. And it's illegal. When you think about it, why would this Victor Conti get to be so successful in his supplemental nutrition business now? And same with this Patrick Arnold. I can't even get saw palmetto honey or my corn silk tea through Amazon, and then they're going to refund my account without my approval. So that's where I am with that. I was never able to get an appointment for Winnie. I'm receiving some information from the VA telling me about free flu vaccine, but I still do not have a letter saying, that I can get eyeglasses. I still cannot get medical care. I'm still have no rights regarding my civil case, Mink versus Encina Veterinary Clinic Incorporated et al. What they are doing is communism, and it is illegal. It's provable, and it's from the Catholics. And the U.S. Government needs to shut them down right this minute. And the next DA after Hallinan was Kamala Harris, and she did not stop it either. All right, thank you for listening. This video is about 30 minutes long. It is about 5:50 p.m. on Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. Learn, prepare, be brave, inform others, outsmart them, and regain our rights. And that means regain our individual rights under our laws, not the Catholic Vatican Holy See canon law, and demand that the United States government, the federal government, even the California government, announce that it has been proven that Catholics and their communist regime, their terrorist regime, has been proven, it is provable, and it needs to stop. One last thing I forgot to mention, this San Francisco DA Terrence Hallinan was actually a communist, and he supported the Communist Party here in the United States. All right, thank you for listening. Signing off.